Good evening. You're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos receives a verbal message from His Excellency, the President of Russia. Local committees for elections of Shura Council members for the 8th term finalize equipping their voting centers. 336 million Omani Riyals are the total value of subscriptions applications of the first sovereign bonds in the Sultanate. And US, Russian, Saudi and Turkish talks are held in Vienna to discuss the Syrian crisis. Good evening once again, and thank you for joining us. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos has received a verbal message from His Excellency President Vladimir Putin of Russia related to situations in the region within the context of consultations and exchange of points of view between the Omani and Russian leaderships. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos has sent a cabal of greetings to His Excellency President Edgar Lungu of Zambia on his country's independence anniversary. A number of local committees for Shura Council elections for the 8th term for a number of the wilayas in the governorates of the Sultanate completed their preparations at the election centers for the Sunday elections. 107 election centers will be opened before 612,000 male and female voters to elect 85 members from 596 candidates. 20 of them are women. The committees finished the preparations of the centers by marking instructions for the voters to follow waiting areas and halls, in addition to install computer devices and ballot boxes according to the approved plan, besides preparing facilities for a transparent and smooth election process. Under the theme Environmental Responsibility, the Minister of Environment and Climate Affairs organized the 3rd Environment Forum in the Wilaya of Sohar. The two-day forum tackled a number of topics like finding appropriate scientific solutions to a number of environmental challenges in the industrial areas in the Wilaya. It included a number of work papers which focused on a number of topics like legislations and environmental monitoring, environmental policies of the companies, the best environmental policies, the role of universities and research institutions, and the role of consulting firms in the environment services. The forum witnessed the participation of ORPIC, which presented a work paper on its efforts and programs of environmental enhancement. It aimed at introducing the procedures of the Ministry of Environment and Climate Affairs, in addition to the role of scientific and research institutions in finding solutions to a number of environmental challenges in Sohar industrial areas. The opening ceremony of the forum was held under the auspices of His Excellency Sheikh Mhanna bin Saif al-Lamki, Governor of North Al-Batina. The initial results clarified that the total value of subscriptions request in the first sovereign bonds in the Sultanate reached about 336 million Omani Riyals, with an increase of 68% on the issued volume, which amounted to 200 million Omani Riyals. A meeting scheduled to be held on 27th of current month to distribute the shares for the investors and determine the suggested percentage of profits. The sovereign bonds subscriptions was closed yesterday, and the bonds will be matured in 5 years. The 3rd Obstetrics and Ultrasound Workshop, organized by the Ministry of Health, the Department of Women and Child Health and Obstetrics and Gynecology, commenced at Royal Hospital. More details in the following report. With the aim of providing basic principles and guidance in the performance of different obstetric scans for the pregnant assessment in the Ministry of Healthcare institutions, a two-day workshop is being conducted at Royal Hospital and attended by over 70 obstetricians and gynecologists representing healthcare institutions around the Sultanate. This workshop, which is led by Dr. Moza As-Salmani and guest speaker Dr. Hisham Al-Marjani, ambassador of International Society of Ultrasound in Obstetrics and Gynec in the Middle East, will focus on practical and theoretical knowledge to perform and understand fundamental ultrasound examinations. Dr. Hisham has this to say.
Of course, it's very important because ultrasound has become recently an important part of every obstetrician in their daily life. Fetal abnormalities has become a major cause for neonatal death and maternal death as well. The course is important in disseminating knowledge to our obstetrician to improve their skills and knowledge about the use and the importance of ultrasound in their daily practice. And hopefully this will improve the maternal and the neonatal health in the area.
Today we have the third workshop on ultrasound. And the aim of this workshop, actually this is the third year we are doing it, fortunately. The aim of the workshop is to train the doctors, mainly from the periphery, as well as our doctors, on basic ultrasound, which is really very important. As you know, all pregnant ladies, they should have a scan at 20 weeks, at least one scan.
Indeed, this workshop will give opportunity for practicing clinicians and sonographers to refresh their knowledge in gynecological areas to be able to detect normal and abnormal pregnancy from the conception to birth, including maternal complications and common fetal developmental abnormalities that may arise during pregnancy. Hence, the attendees will improve their expertise in obstetric ultrasound and thus performing examination competently with precision and effectiveness. You're watching the Sultanate of Oman television, and still to come in our news bulletin. Royal Navy of Oman ship Shabab Oman 2 reached Kuwait within its voyage of Cooperation Sail 2015. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov met with the United States Secretary of State John Kerry, Turkish Foreign Minister Feridun Senrili-Oglu, and Saudi Foreign Minister Adel Al-Jubeir for talks on Syria in Vienna today. Lavrov will try to push Moscow's so far unsuccessful initiative of a grand international coalition against the fanatics in Syria at the meeting. A spokeswoman for Russia's foreign ministry said that Russia expects the meeting to produce an honest and objective exchange of views about the situation, which will give an opportunity to map out a clear path for activating efforts to achieve a comprehensive political resolution. Yet, the idea that Putin, the man the West loves to hate, could eventually emerge as the diplomatic broker-in-chief of the Syrian crisis seems resemble in many Western capitals and hard to swallow among key regional powers. The revamped Middle East Quartet, bringing together the United Nations, Russia, the United States and the European Union, as well as key Arab states, was also meeting in Vienna today. The United States and its allies carried out 16 airstrikes against Daesh militants in Iraq and Syria. Meanwhile, Russian military jets struck a breach over the Euphrates River in Syria, which they suspected was being used by Daesh militants to bring supplies from Iraq into Syria. French Foreign Minister Laurent Fabius confirmed today that France will present a draft United Nations Security Council resolution in the next few days seeking to ban the use of barrel bombs by Syrian government. The latest developments in a wave of Israeli-Palestinian violence, Muslim prayers at Jerusalem's holiest site, which has been ground zero for weeks of unrest, have ended peacefully. It was the first time since violence erupted in mid-September that Muslims of all ages could attend the weekly Friday prayers at the Muslim-run site. In recent weeks, police had barred younger Muslim men from shrine, framing the restrictions as a security measure. The calm comes after weeks of Israeli-Palestinian violence, including near-daily Palestinian attacks that killed 10 Israelis. On the Palestinian side, 48 people were killed by Israeli fire. Diplomatic efforts are underway to end the violence. Israel's military says a Palestinian stabbed a soldier in the West Bank and was shot by troops. It says both the soldier and the Palestinian were wounded in today's incidents and were taken for medical treatment. At least 42 people were killed when a coach carrying elderly day trippers collided with a lorry and burst into flames in southwest France today. The coach was carrying a club of pensioners on an excursion when it collided with the lorry near the village of Poisson-Guin, east of Bordeaux. The police said the driver of the lorry appears to have lost control of his vehicle, leaving him stranded in the middle of the road. The bus driver was unable to avoid the accident. The lorry driver was killed. 8 people, including the coach driver, managed to escape the burning wreckage, 4 of whom were seriously injured. The crash is the deadliest in France since August 1982, when 53 people, including 44 children, were killed in a motorway pile-up. Monster Hurricane Patricia roared towards Mexico's Pacific coast today, prompting authorities to evacuate villagers, close ports, and urge tourists to cancel trips over fears of a catastrophe. The U.S. National Hurricane Center called Patricia the strongest eastern North Pacific hurricane on record. The center said Patricia has grown into a Category 5 storm in the 5-level Saffir-Simpson scale, with maximum sustained winds of 325 kilometers per hour. Forecasters show that Patricia will make landfall in the western state of Jalisco near the neighboring state of Colima. The region includes the major port of Manzanillo and Jalisco's tourist resort of Puerto Vallarta, which Mexican officials said could face a direct hit. 2 dams in Jalisco and Michoacan were being drained to prevent flooding. The port of Acapulco in Guerrero was shut for large ships. Royal Navy of Oman ship Shabab Oman 2 reached Kuwait within its Voyage Cooperation Cell 2015 to the Gulf Cooperation Council countries. Sultanate's embassy in the state of Kuwait and Kuwaiti Naval Force held an official reception to celebrate their arrival. The voyage aimed to strengthening cooperation and friendly relations among Gulf Cooperation Council countries and other world countries. A number of trainees on mast sailed from Gulf Cooperation Council countries and other world countries joined Shabab Oman 2 ship. Now for the general weather forecast. Clear skies will prevail over the Sultanate with high clouds over the northern governorates and accumulative clouds over the Hajar Mountains and the nearby areas with chances of scattered rains. Winds will be easterly to northeasterly light to moderate along the coastal areas of the Sea of Oman. Rest of the Sultanate, it will be southeasterly light to moderate. Seas will be slight with a maximum wave height of 1.25 meters. You're watching the Sultanate of Oman television, and now to end this news bulletin, here are the main points once again. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos receives a verbal message from His Excellency the President of Russia. The local committees for elections of Shura Council members for the 8th term finalize equipping their voting centers. 336 million Omani Riyals are the total value of subscriptions applications of the first sovereign bonds in the Sultanate. And US, Russian, Saudi and Turkish foreign ministers' talks are held in Vienna to discuss the Syrian crisis. And with that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, it's good night.